very good evening to all of you and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the day's top stories from India and across the world. Of course, in the capital, in Parliament, we saw some heated speeches. We'll get you highlights of that in just a bit. But first, the headlines. Congress adjournment motion on Lalit Modi row defeated in Lok Sabha. Jaitley defends Sushma Swaraj, says allegations levelled against her are baseless. Constitutional amendment bill on GST is stalled in Rajya Sabha for the second day in a row. Opposition rejects India Inc.'s online petition on disruptions. Anti-NDA alliance announces seat sharing plan in Bihar. JDU and RJD to contest 100 seats each. Congress gets 40. Rupee falls over 1% to 64 rupees 92 paise per dollar amid devaluation of China's yuan and sharp decline across emerging market currencies. And US joins Russia and China in opposing negotiations to reform the UN Security Council, refuses to contribute to texts that will form basis for the process. Our top story this evening: after 2 weeks of protest, the opposition was finally given a chance to discuss the Lalit Modi issue in Parliament, and as expected, the debate was loaded with political wrangling. Agreeing to debate, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said that she did no wrong and was just helping Lalit Modi's wife, who is a cancer patient, on humanitarian grounds. She also went on to launch a personal attack on the Gandhi family. Here are the details.
When the debate in Parliament on the controversial former IPL Commissioner Lalit Modi finally began, it was all that it promised to be. The motion moved by Congress was at first rejected by the Speaker before External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj requested Sumitra Mahajan to admit it as it is. Appealing that the Prime Minister be present in the House during the debate, Mallikarjun Kharge said any help to a fugitive, even on humanitarian grounds, has to be given within the ambit of the law.
फॉरेन अफेयर मिनिस्टर का कर्तव्य था कि अगर किसी का पासपोर्ट अगर कैंसल हुआ और वो एक इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर है, वो विदेश में रहता है, उसके ऊपर ब्लू कॉर्नर नोटिस है, तो क्यों आप अपील में नहीं गए, मैं पूछना चाहता हूं.
When the Congress leader started talking of Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje in his speech, objections were raised.
उनमें से एक श्रीमती वसुंधरा राजे थी. उन्होंने दिए गए इस पत्र में
ये अभी संदर्भित नहीं है.
Following the uproar, Lok Sabha was adjourned till 2 p.m.
The House stands adjourned to meet again.
When the House reconvened, Congress chief Sonia Gandhi made a rare dash into the well to join her colleagues as they protested.
No point of order.
On resumption, Sushma was at her defensive best. She denied having any conflict of interest in helping Lalit Modi, saying her husband and daughter had not accepted any money as legal fees from the cricket tycoon. And then she launched a caustic attack on the Gandhis.
सुषमा स्वराज ने कोई काम छुप-छुप के नहीं किया. अगर छुप-छुप के किया तो क्वात्रोची को भगाने का तुमने किया. अगर छुप-छुप के कोई काम किया तो राजीव गांधी की सरकार में एंडरसन को भगाने का काम.
Replying to the External Affairs Minister's barb, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi gave a spirited speech in Lok Sabha, questioning Sushma over the help she gave to Lalit Modi.
हमने सुषमा जी से 2 सवाल पूछे हैं. पहला सवाल था कितना पैसा मिला, जो ब्लैक मार्क, जो काला धन है, उसका जो चिन्ह है, उसको बचाने के लिए कितना पैसा मिला. और दूसरा सवाल, आपने ये काम छुप के क्यों किया.
For the government, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley replied to the debate. He said there was no strength in the Congress's argument, adding that the party had no evidence to back its claims.
The allegation against Sushma ji is, on a day when there was no arrest warrant against him, there was no criminal case against him, there were FEMA proceedings pending against him. He made some request, right or wrong, and she carefully told the High Commissioner that this is not a question of international relationship, you deal with it under your law. He became liable for arrest on a non-bailable warrant on the 5th of August 2015.
The Congress party has accused Sushma Swaraj of misusing her office to help Lalit Modi get urgent travel papers last year. The party insists that the minister resigned on moral grounds. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in Rajya Sabha, the Constitution Amendment Bill on GST was stalled for the second day in a row. The bill could up amid the standoff over tainted ministers and the confrontation paralyzed business of the House. Here's a report.
Lalit Gate Rao, Vyapam scam and the silence of the Prime Minister. The opposition cornered the government on several issues in the upper house on the penultimate day of the monsoon session. Business, especially the key reform bill on GST, was once again the casualty. The Congress stepped up the heat on the government on the corruption allegations when the House resumed on Wednesday.
From the day one of this session, when it comes to fixing accountability and taking action, that's why the opposition has been giving these motions, notice for motions. If it is cabinet minister, it has to be the Prime Minister. It cannot be anybody else.
The government also continued its counter-offensive against the Congress. It blamed the opposition of trying to stall the development of the country.
आपने बार-बार मोशन को अलाउ किया, डिस्कशन को अलाउ किया, डिबेट को अलाउ किया, but unfortunately ये तैयार ही नहीं है.
In the post-lunch session, the chair urged the protesting members to take up the GST bill.
This GST is your bill. It is a baby of your Congressman. It is your bill.
But the impasse continued, forcing the chair to adjourn the House for the day. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, as the monsoon session of Parliament heads for a complete washout, a petition from top industrialists urging legislators to debate rather than block legislation has gathered over 15,000 signatures. Among the signatories are some of the biggest names of the industry, like former Infosys CEO Chris Gopalakrishnan, Godrej Group Chairperson Adi Godrej, Chairman of the Bajaj Auto Rahul Bajaj, and Chairperson of Biocon Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. The petition demanded that both houses be allowed to function, debate and legislate on proposals like the GST. India Inc. has said the GST could significantly contribute to the growth of the country and its states. While the government welcomed the online petition, the opposition parties have slammed the industry leaders for trying to dictate Parliament's functioning.
It is not only industrialists. It is thousands and thousands of average citizens, students, youth, poor people who have signed that online petition. It is lawyers, it's eminent doctors who have signed it. Because every segment of society has an interest in India's democracy and India's parliament functioning.
Corporate India wants to participate in the political discourse. They can do so, but not in a selective manner. It almost seems as if the Rockefeller moment of corporate India is souring. The return on political investment is floundering, and therefore you have these knee-jerk reactions taking place.
तो अपील हम लोगों से करके कोई फायदा नहीं. अपील होना चाहिए प्रधानमंत्री को और शासक भाजपा को. ये एक जांच आप लागू करवाइए और इनको पद से हटाइए और जांच चलने दो और सदन भी चलने दो.
Meanwhile, the government today hiked the customs duty on steel to check the massive imports that are hurting domestic manufacturers. The opposition, however, criticized the move, calling it belated and unsuited to answer the real issue. The industry, on the other hand, is calling the hike inadequate.
The government on Wednesday hiked customs duty for the second time in 2 months on steel imports. The notification tabled in Rajya Sabha said imported unfinished products described as flat steel will attract 12.5%, while semi-finished steel products or long steel will attract 10% custom duty.
Duty hike is a relief, but it is not large enough to alleviate the difficulties of the Indian steel industry, which is on account of the surging imports, the large volume of imports. So there are other measures like, what we call trade barriers or, trade redressal measures like safeguard duties. So we have been in discussions with the government, and our members of our association have filed some petitions.
Last year, India imported around 12% of its total requirement of 8.2 million tons. In the first 3 months of this fiscal, imports already touched 28 lakh tons, which is over 1/3 of the domestic consumption. Even as domestic producers expressed concerns over cheap imports, the opposition blamed the government for delayed action.
Duty increasing alone will not arrest or protect the Indian domestic steel industry. Now, the major player in the steel industry is your government-owned public sector enterprises. So you need to look into the other aspects also, why the quality of steel that is required by your manufacturing sector is not available in India with us.
Government is hoping to earn around 430 crore by its decision, even as the industry is demanding 15% flat custom duty on all kinds of steel imports. But depreciation of Chinese currency has also compounded the problem for Indian producers. China alone supplied over 28% of the total steel imports between April to June this year, followed by South Korea and Japan. Krishna Tripathi report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Staying with economics, China's central bank has again cut the guiding rate for the national currency, the yuan, a day after the record 2% devaluation. And its effect showed on the rupee today, which fell to a two-year low. The Indian currency is currently trading at nearly 65 against the dollar.
For the second consecutive day, the Chinese currency was devalued by nearly 1%. It marked the biggest two-day lowering of its rate against the dollar in more than 2 decades. The new rate is meant to boost exports. Figures released at the weekend showed Chinese exports fell more than 8% in July, adding to concerns the world's second largest economy is heading for a slowdown.
目前这个情况呢，对投资领域和贸易领域造成影响，我觉得这个估计还不是太明显。这个应该说，我个人的感觉啊，人民币包括今天最新的消息，人民币有下降，就下调，汇率下调，这些我觉得对，就像过去历史上曾经发生的情况一样。
But its impact is now being felt globally. The Indian rupee also saw the biggest fall in 2 years. It fell over 1% to 64.78 per dollar, a level last seen in September 2013 when the country was struggling with a high current account deficit.
Chinese products and Chinese services will become more, rather cheaper, and India will be impacted by that because the import from China will go up. The Chinese goods will become cheaper, so they might resort to dumping.
The markets also had its share of worries. The Sensex slumped over 350 points while the Nifty dropped by over 100 points. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Cheaper food prices have pulled down retail inflation to a record low. The consumer price index was recorded at 3.78% last month, much less than in June this year. Prices of vegetables fell sharply during the month from a year ago, with inflation printing a negative 7.93%. Fruits also turned cheaper by 1.45% during the month compared to the same month last year. However, prices of pulses remain higher. On to more politics, and in the run-up to the assembly polls in Bihar, the mega alliance of the JDU, RJD and the Congress today formally unveiled their seat-sharing plan. While both JDU and the RJD will contest 100 seats each, Congress will fight for 40. The NCP is also likely to join the Grand Alliance, but it's still not clear how many seats will fall in its kitty.
After months of deliberations and several rounds of talks, the much-touted mega alliance or Mahagathbandhan of the JDU, RJD and the Congress announced their seat-sharing formula in Bihar on Wednesday. The announcement was made at a joint press conference by Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad and Congress's Bihar in charge CP Joshi. According to the formula, both RJD and JDU will contest 100 seats each, while the junior partner in the alliance, Congress, will fight 40 seats.
100 सीट राष्ट्रीय जनता दल, 100 सीट जनता दल यूनाइटेड और 40 सीट कांग्रेस लड़ेगी. हम लोगों को इस बात की उम्मीद है कि अन्य दल जैसे एनसीपी हम लोगों के साथ आएंगे.
RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad said the combination will put all their chips into the polls to stop the BJP.
हम लोग पूरी मजबूती के साथ खेत से लेकर खलिहान तक भारतीय जनता पार्टी को, आरएसएस को चुनाव में ये चुनाव हो रहा है, चुनाव बिहार का चुनाव नहीं, यह देश का चुनाव हो रहा है।
The first united show of the Grand Alliance will be held at Gandhi Maidan in Patna on the 30th of August. The mega rally is being termed the Bihar Swabhiman Rally.
महागठबंधन की जो प्रथम रैली 30 तारीख को गांधी मैदान में होगी, उसमें कांग्रेस पार्टी का नेतृत्व भाग लेगा।
The BJP, however, remains unfazed by the announcement of seat sharing or the rally. Its leaders are confident that the people of Bihar will vote for change.
दोनों एक दूसरे को ठग रहे हैं, दोनों एक दूसरे को बेवकूफ बना रहे हैं और दोनों साथ में बैठ के बिहार की जनता को भी ठगने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
Elections in Bihar are due later this year, but battle lines have already been drawn. For the newfound RJD-JDU Congress alliance, it's a battle of survival, while for the BJP, at stake is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's popularity. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here are more updates from across the country and nationwide. In a major relief to former Telecom Minister Dayanidhi Maran, the Supreme Court today stayed the Madras High Court order cancelling his bail in the alleged telephone exchange case. A three-judge bench sought the CBI's response on Maran's plea and questioned its decision to arrest him. The court posted the next hearing on the 14th of September. Pakistani troops resorted to ceasefire violation twice overnight and targeted Indian posts in civilian areas. Pakistani troops fired 120 mm mortars along the LOC in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch district. The Indian Army also retaliated to the shelling. As per reports, there have been 21 ceasefire violations along the India-Pakistan border in Jammu region this month. Police foiled a Maoist attack in Jharkhand by recovering a 20-kilogram cylinder bomb. The explosive was unearthed in East Singhbhum district following a tip-off. Officials said that the Maoists aimed to target security forces. The National Green Tribunal today refused to modify its order banning diesel vehicles older than 10 years in Delhi. It defended the ban, saying it was upheld by the Supreme Court. The NGT left it to the Delhi government and the concerned authorities to decide on the issue of chalaning such vehicles. With that, a quick break here. Up next, international news and in cricket, Captain Virat Kohli and opener Shikhar Dhawan helped India recover early losses against Sri Lanka in the first test. Details of that ahead.
Hello and welcome to our special program, To The Point. Today we have with us Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge.
The ruling party itself indulged in suspending 25 people. They suspended. Lalit Modi case, you know that the money is rotated through Morasas. He expresses his Man Ki Baat there. Why should not he express Kaam Ki Baat in radio and tell the people?
Watch Leader of Congress in Lok Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge expresses views in To The Point on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now, India suffered today a huge blow to its efforts to secure a permanent seat in an expanded UN Security Council. The US, Russia and China opposed negotiations to reform the UN body, refusing to contribute to a text that will form the basis for the process. The text was circulated by UN General Assembly President Sam Kutesa to all the members on the 1st of August. The text was to form the basis for the negotiations on the reform of the UN Security Council. While Russia said such decisions cannot be taken under artificial deadlines, US sought a country's ability to maintain international peace and security. China said that member states are still seriously divided on the Security Council reform and no general agreement has been reached on any solution so far. However, India reacted to the objections, saying that the reforms should not be delayed. However, it has received support from France and UK, the two remaining permanent members of the Security Council. The two nations, along with Kazakhstan and Romania, have specifically named in the negotiating text that Brazil, Germany, India, Japan, and an African representation should be included among the permanent members. Well, for more on this story, we're joined by Pramit Pal Chaudhary, who's the Foreign Affairs Editor with the Hindustan Times, joining us from the capital. Mr. Chaudhary, you know, since 2000, in fact, PMs and diplomats, whenever, in whatever capacity they have, spoken to international dignitaries who've been visiting, their main aim has pretty much been, you know, expansion of the UN Security Council and a permanent seat, which is why this is, in fact, an immense blow to India.
Well, while we do ask, I'll say that it's not been our primary diplomatic aim. We have many other interests, and this is one among many of them. But it's a very long-term one. We have known for quite a while that the G4, after that initial push in the early 2000s, has effectively run out of steam. Hello?
Yes, please continue. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Connection has gone.
All right, we seem to have lost that line with him. If you can... all right, so what we were, of course, discussing about is the fact that India has, since 2000, with all the PMs and the diplomats since then, been trying to, of course, secure a permanent seat in the UN Security Council. An expansion of the council has been one of its diplomatic agenda, of course, and hopefully we'll try and establish that link with Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary in a bit. And we'll be talking about the fact about how India has suffered a huge blow today with the US, Russia and China now in pretty much the essence of it, saying that they are not agreeing to reforms, not agreeing to an expansion. And that, of course, has come as a big blow to India. Mr. Chaudhary, if you can hear me, please continue what you were saying.
Yeah, I was just saying that the original G4 movement has run out of steam because of the G4 members, Japan is violently opposed by China. Brazil is not opposed by anybody and is probably the strongest candidate besides India. And there's not much international support for Germany because there are already 2 European nations inside the Security Council, P5. And Africa, as has been mentioned, has still yet to decide which one among them, among the 55 African states, should be chosen.
But, you know, another thing which is quite interesting is the fact that the US and China and Russia, in fact, the US and Russia indirectly have, of course, supported India's claims for that expansion of the UN Security Council, for that permanent membership. You know, could this be called duplicity on their part? All right, we're still having some problems with the link there with Mr. Chaudhary, who, of course, was stressing on the G4, comprising, of course, of Japan, Germany, Brazil and India, not being as strong as compared to how it was a few years back. Mr. Chaudhary, I was talking about how the US and Russia in the past few years, in fact, Mr. Barack Obama himself indirectly has, of course, accepted India's, claims or India's hopes, if you could say, to be part of a permanent member of the UNSC, an expansion. Could we call this duplicity on their part?
Well, they have said, actually, they didn't oppose it. They just said that we accept we accept a minor expansion of the Security Council, which we presume would include India. But what they have said that the text-based process of the intergovernmental negotiations, as opposed to a negotiated process which is oral, they oppose. But they have endorsed the idea that the Security Council P5 should be expanded slightly, and we hope that that includes us.
All right.
But China has been very clear that they do not want any expansion at all. And Russia, I should add, has also joined in and said that we will not support a text-based, time-driven increase. Ultimately, the point for India is twofold. One, does it make sense to continue to be a member of the G4? Because of those members, 2 of them are probably declining in the international interest in having them on the P5, Germany and Japan in particular.
Yes.
Brazil, of course, is still a strong candidate, and to some degree, some African nation is there as well. And at some point, we may have to reformulate that, in which case we have to go into a different coalition and go back into the reform process, because I don't see Germany and Japan getting in anytime soon. There's simply not enough support for them internationally.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for the moment.
So this is a long process. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, a few more years, definitely. Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary, for joining us with those details there. This is, in fact, the 70th anniversary of the UN being commemorated this year, and India was hoping that this would be an appropriate time for that expansion. We'll have to wait and see how many more years it does take. Meanwhile, in the US, the race for the presidential election 2016 is heating up. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton on Tuesday agreed to give her private email server to the FBI to look into the period when she was the US Secretary of State. This was the biggest issue used by Republican candidates to target her. Here's more.
Welcoming
Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton is all set to hand over to the FBI the private email server that she used as Secretary of State. After initial refusal, the change of plans came even as opinion polls showed that an increasing number of voters found her untrustworthy.
There's so much confusion around this that I understand why reporters and the public are, asking questions, but the facts are pretty clear. I did not send nor receive anything that was classified at the time.
Clinton, however, remains the favorite to win the Democratic Party's nomination. Republican candidates continue to attack her on multiple occasions while steering away from any of the other Democratic candidates. On Tuesday, Jeb Bush attacked her handling of Iraq as Secretary of State.
ISIS grew while the United States disengaged from the Middle East and ignored the threat. And where was the Secretary of State? Where was Secretary of State Clinton in all of this? Like the president himself, she had opposed the surge, then joined in claiming credit for its success, then stood by as that hard-won victory by American and allied forces was thrown away.
The Republican race, on the other hand, has been overshadowed by businessman Donald Trump's antics while taking away attention from serious policy issues. Trump was recently criticized for his caustic comments about a television news anchor at the Republican debate.
I will be great on women's health issues. I cherish women, and I will be great on women's health issues.
Despite Trump's appeal, it seems he's still no match against Hillary Clinton. Most surveys say Clinton would triumph over Trump by 43% to 29%, and that she would also prevail over other Republican presidential candidates. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some cricket action now. In India, captain Virat Kohli and opener Shikhar Dhawan have put together a 100-run partnership after early losses in the first test against Sri Lanka. At stumps on day one, India posted 128 runs for the loss of 2 wickets. India lost Lokesh Rahul and Rohit Sharma cheaply after bowling out Sri Lanka for 183 in the first innings. Off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin took 6 wickets for 46 runs to leave the hosts in tatters on day one of the test match. He was supported by leg spinner Amit Mishra, who took 2 wickets. Ishant Sharma and Varun Aaron took 1 each. For Sri Lanka, captain Angelo Matthews was the top scorer with 64 runs. His stand with wicketkeeper Dinesh Chandimal helped Lanka to post a total in excess of 150.
My take was very simple. I wanted to get into my stride, get into my basics and get into my action pretty strongly and start with a good rhythm. Sangakkara's wicket in the first over surely helps.
And that's what we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.